Hey guys, how would you like to see a video tour of one of the many probate or estate properties that we have experienced and gone through over the last 10 years? Today, I'm going to actually walk you through one of these properties, but I do want to warn you ahead of time, it's a little bit rough around the edges.
Hey guys, I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. Thanks for checking out this video today. By the way, I am an active real estate investor and a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia. And over the last 10 years, I have helped over 300 sellers get their property sold, whether that's a cash deal or listing it for them in the traditional fashion. I made all these videos because we've learned a thing or two about probate and estates over the last 10 years, and I'm just sharing my knowledge with you. By the way, I am not an attorney, nor do I claim to be an attorney, so please don't take anything that I say as legal advice. I highly suggest that you consult with a probate attorney or even a real estate attorney to discuss your unique situation and get some real legal advice from them. If you'd like to chat with us about the options on the property that you've inherited, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. You can go over to probatehouseguy.com and fill out the form there on the page, and a member of our team will be in touch with you ASAP. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Thanks.
Hey, welcome back. So it's Brad, the Probate House Guy. Today, I'm going to actually take you on a house tour of an estate property that I walked through yesterday. Unfortunately, this house is kind of in pretty bad shape. And it's honestly not the first one I've been to that's in this condition. I'm going to walk you through this house, and then afterwards we're going to jump back over and I'm going to go through my rehab spreadsheet, and we're going to walk through, I'm going to break down exactly how I calculate the rehab cost on this particular project and formulate my offer on this particular deal, because sometimes, I think it's important to be transparent with this process. So let's get started.
Here. Got some zoysia in the yard, that's nice. Looks like it's got vinyl siding. This retaining wall needs to be replaced. All this needs to be fixed. Some cracking on the steps. It's gonna need some attention. Looks like it probably needs a roof. It looks like vinyl siding. Got some rot on the windows there. Yeah, this is actually metal siding. We got natural gas on the house. We got a pretty new HVAC unit here. What year is this? I can't read the sticker anymore, but it looks pretty new. The backyard is totally overgrown back here. It's right by the road here. Needs a new, can't tell if that's a patio or a back deck. It's concrete patio. Okay. Got a little bit of siding damage right here. Let's see. Big old azalea right there. It's got the original aluminum windows. And one car garage. Got some poison ivy growing in here. Windows are open upstairs. We've got, needs a fence replacement. We got soffit falling off here with, looks like some sort of roof damage. It's hard to see with the sun shining. And again, the backyard is totally overgrown. Let's see if I can cut through here. It's gonna be hard to get over here. I don't want to get any poison ivy, but I'll peek around back here. There's some poison ivy there. Poison ivy there. Oh, there's a spider web there. I'll peek around the side here. Okay, so we got some soffit damage over there. Got some poison ivy right in front of me here. Cactus is growing. Looks like that window's been replaced at some point. So, okay. This has got some runoff issues right here. This whole backyard is a jungle. That is locked. I'm gonna have to go in through the garage door. Okay. It is musty. The door is open here. There is mold. Knock, knock. Anyone here? We got, looks like kitty litter all over the floor. You got mold. You got, yeah, this is all moldy. So this is basically like a total redo inside. Oh yeah, there is kitty litter everywhere in here. Please tell me there's not like fleas in here, but there's dead bugs. So we're gonna call this a total redo on the inside. All this needs to be replaced, every last bit of it. Okay. Power's off. All this needs to be replaced. Cockroaches. Cockroach infestation. This bathroom actually looks halfway decent. This room looks okay, actually. Cockroaches up here, but this room looks okay. I don't really see any roof leak damage or anything in here. This must be the master bedroom. Then we've got a bathroom over here, I'm assuming. And this bathroom looks decent here. So this all looks decent upstairs, actually. Kind of just drywall and paint and flooring and trim up here. And then, you know, kind of keep that shower, keep that tub, pull all that stuff down. Let's look at this one over here. And tub needs to be cleaned, needs new toilet, but all that looks good overall. I would keep all that, it'd be fine, just new light fixtures and everything. We got 1, 2, 3 bed, 2 bath up here. Okay, so 2 full baths up here. It's our half bath downstairs. That's the end of the house there. I'm gonna go in that kitchen. There's mold everywhere. This place is gonna have to be gutted out and yeah, so, okay. Fun times. Oh, and then there's another room down here. So this could be like potentially another bedroom down here, but you need to put like a bathroom in here somehow. I don't know. What is this room back here? Let's see, what is it? What's this? Oh, there is a bathroom down here. Okay. There's a bath and a laundry down here. And then there's another room. Oh, that could be, oh shoot, you could make multiple other bedrooms down here. Spider webs everywhere. Laundry, relatively new Goodman AC unit. So yeah, this could be a 4-bedroom place. Okay, now I'm covered in spider webs. All right, that's it for this house.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that painted a picture as to what the property, the condition looks like, and that sort of thing. Again, for privacy's sake, I'm not going to mention where that house was or anything like that. Maybe if you see it in the video, you might recognize the house, but I'm not discussing the family nor their situation or anything like that in this video because that's not appropriate. But what I am going to do is I'm going to break down the rehab numbers and I'm going to walk you through exactly how I arrived at those numbers. So let's get started here. And actually at the end, I'm going to break through my offer number and how that number works out. So let's go over the rehab first. All right, so getting into this, first of all, as you could tell by the video, the backyard was super overgrown. And then in the front yard, we had some old rotting railroad ties by the front steps that needed to be replaced. You had some bushes and things that needed to be ripped out and trimmed, pruned, that sort of thing. You had a lot of poison ivy around there. And then you had a little bit of some drainage issues on the side of the house. You could see when I was walking through in the video. And that was mainly from not having gutters on that side of the house and all that water's hitting the ground and sort of creating some erosion. So that would all need to be repaired. So let's jump through this here. I've got a line item here for landscaping for $7,500. That is inclusive of getting the backyard sort of cleared out. I've got a guy that has what's called a forestry mulcher, and we would basically come through into that backyard and we would forestry mulch all of that brush down And some of that, this includes also us manually going through and kind of cleaning stuff, making sure we get trash and things out, because the last thing he wants to do is suck up like a piece of metal in his forestry mulcher. And that will basically clear that whole yard out. And then we'll have to come into that yard and we'll actually have to spray chemicals on there to kill all of that poison ivy and all that overgrowth and stuff. I used to be a licensed pesticide applicator. I had a lawn care business many years ago, and I had my license with the state of Georgia to spray this stuff. So we'd be spraying glyphosate, whether you like that or not. Glyphosate is the best sort of non-selective herbicide. And then there's another herbicide that we call tricloper, which is a woody plant herbicide that kills like woody plants with woody stems. We do a mixture of that. We spray it on everything, and it's going to kill all that vegetative debris. If you go to Home Depot or whatever and you get the what do they call it? Like brush killer. That's literally what the active ingredients are in that is glyphosate and tricloper. Anyways, I'm nerding out about that stuff. Okay, so that's my line item budget. That also includes fixing the railroad ties there or along the front porch. And that's also inclusive of repairing the block work and a little bit of concrete work on those front steps there that I mentioned in the video. And then just kind of cleaning up the yard in general. Okay, so now we're going to talk about demo and clean out. As you remember in the video, there was a good bit of mold, and there was some kind of water damage on the first level, and then I guess you could call it the second level when on the living room level around the kitchen. That's why I didn't even go in the kitchen, because the floor looked like I could see where it was kind of like, it almost looked like there was some kind of damage. I think that's just a slab in that area, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to walk in that kitchen. Not to mention there was a good, inch thick of kitty litter, which the only reason I could think that there would be that much kitty litter all over the floor in that house was because there was some sort of water leak or something that they wanted to soak up. Because why else would there just be excessive amounts of kitty litter all over the floor like that? I mean, I can understand it piled in a corner, maybe where the cat litter box was. But honestly, that house didn't really smell like cat at all. So I don't think that was the case. I think they were putting that down to cover something up or soak something up. I'm not exactly sure. Not to mention, that house actually, 2 people passed away in that house. So that very well could have been, something involved with the, liquids that come off of a dead body. In very cases, it didn't smell like someone had died in the house. I've been in many houses where someone had passed away, but we were told by the estate that actually 2 people had passed away in that house. So that's not uncommon in the probate estate world. We deal with that all the time. So I've got here demo and cleanup. So we would have to demo some of the drywall on the first floor, demo basically all of the kitchen. We would demo a lot of stuff downstairs where the mold and stuff damage was. If you recall in the video, the very upstairs of the house, actually there's not a whole lot of demo we would do upstairs other than ripping the toilets out, ripping the vanities out, because we would be replacing the vanities in the bathrooms. I would keep the, in that particular price point, it doesn't really matter. That's sort of a lower price point area in Atlanta, and we can keep that same tile. Those tubs were cast iron tubs. They're in great shape. Maybe they need to be reglazed. That's about $400 to reglaze the tub, but we could definitely keep that tile. It all looked to be in pretty good shape to me. So we'd keep the whole shower units intact. We wouldn't touch those, but we would remove the toilets. We would remove the flooring, remove the vanities, and replace all that stuff. So all this demo is inclusive of that. This also includes a clean out of the house, getting rid of all of the junk in the house, which really is the biggest chunk of this demo and clean out number here of $8,000. A good chunk of that, probably about $5,000 to $6,000, is going to be the actual clean out of getting rid of all of the stuff in it. And then I have a line item here of about $5,000 for mold remediation. Honestly, it probably might come in a little bit cheaper, but you never know. So I gave it a $5,000 line item. I did a house last year that had a significant amount of mold in it, and it was a bigger house than this, probably about another, I don't know, 700 or 800 square feet bigger, and it was about $7,500 to do mold remediation. And rightfully so. I've done some smaller ranch houses where we've had to remediate crawl spaces and stuff, and on average, a crawl space remediation with my guy is about $4,000 to do all that work. So I came up with $5,000. He's going to come in. They're going to mechanically remove and treat all the mold and get rid of the mold. Plus, we're going to demo any drywall that has anything more than just surface mold on it. We're going to completely demo that drywall and totally replace it. Because the last thing I want is to sell a house and then get sued later because I didn't properly remediate mold. It's a big concern for a lot of people. Let's get in here. We've got exterior repair and repaint. If you recall, there was some soffit damage. Some of the doors had rotten trim on them, which is pretty typical. A lot of doors get the trim rots around the bottom of the jambs and stuff. So that includes repairing all those jambs. And then you'll see a line item down here right above it, for windows. Let's take a step back. I jumped ahead one notch. $4,000 for windows. So that house had the original 1980s aluminum windows. It's probably hard to tell in that video, and I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but it's probably just something I thought to myself. Some of those windows were broken. They had cracks in them, so the panes would need to be replaced. And additionally, I noticed that some of them were fogged up. Really, when I was doing the exterior walk around, a lot of those windows were fogged up, which is very common with those older houses. The seal in between the double panes loses its seal, and then they get moisture in between them, and then they fog up, and then that actually permanently sort of etches and stains the glass. The only way to replace that is to actually replace the panes of glass. And nowadays, per pane, so let's say a lower section of a window, you're talking, it's about $400 per pane. So $800 essentially, give or take, per window. I might be overshooting that. It's probably $700 to do the upper and lower panes on a window times multiple windows on the house. You do the math, that's actually a lot. So in the end, it actually comes out cheaper to just tear those windows out totally and replace them with an inexpensive vinyl replacement window, which for that house and the number of windows on that house, and based on my experience and what my guy charges, it's going to be about $4,000. I used to be able to I could probably do that house for about $2,500 to $3,000 just a few years ago, but the prices have gone up on everything. So I've got a $4,000 budget for new windows on that house. And then additionally, jumping to the next step, we've got exterior repair and repaint. That includes soffit repairs. That includes the trim repairs. And then we would also probably have some trim repairs around the windows. And if you recall in the video, I mentioned there was a lot of rot on that bay window in the front. All that trim needs to come off. And inevitably, there's probably some damage to the sheathing behind it. And this $10,000 is inclusive of that. To actually just repaint the exterior of that house, power wash it and repaint it, assuming no repairs or damage, my painter would probably charge me, including the price of paint and everything, it'd probably run me about $7,000 to do all that. So I've got an additional $3,000 in there to fix all that trim and all those other stuff. That's materials and labor. Let's do interior repaint and repairs. This includes a little bit of drywall repair. Again, the upstairs, the drywall was not in bad shape at all. Downstairs, with the mold remediation, we probably would have to patch and replace some drywall in there. So I've got a little bit of a budget in there for that. And that comes out to about $8,000 to do all of that. That includes actual repainting. That includes there would be some priming involved in this where we'd have to reprime some stuff and that sort of thing. Framing for extra bedrooms. So what I would probably do is turn the bottom level into at least a fourth bedroom, if not a fifth bedroom. When you first walked in that door, I'd have to measure it out, but I think you could put a wall in there and actually put a door because there's a window in there, so you have a method of egress. We could put a bedroom there to the right when you first walk in, and then additionally kind of where the laundry room is and that other bathroom, that room back there, we would put a wall and a door in and actually make that another bedroom as well because it did have a window in that room for egress. So we would basically convert this house into either a minimum of a 4-bedroom house, if not a 5-bedroom, which would be helpful to get a few more bedrooms out of it. So I've got about $700 in there for framing, just extra bedrooms. You've got the studs and the framing, the materials. It's not much, just some small little walls and a door frame and stuff. And then we've got some drywall to do all that. So again, drywalling, all that stuff, the cost of drywall, install, mudding and taping, and this is sort of bleeding over from this interior repaint budget. I separated it slightly. Now let's go through electrical fixtures and devices. So this is going to be, this is a 1980s house, and typically in these older 1980s houses, a lot of times all the outlets are super loose and you can't plug anything into them anymore. It just falls out of the wall. They're ugly. They're all that old. almond color that nobody likes. So we change all those out to new fixtures and receptacles, new switches, new receptacles in the walls, and then also all the light fixtures. This isn't a super high-end house, so we're not going to have super high-end fixtures. So between all that stuff, you're running, with that being a 4-bedroom house and all that stuff, you're running about $2,200 for all of the switches, receptacles. This is just the cost of the materials themselves, not including labor, about $2,200. And then going down below, we've got electrical labor of $1,100. That's about what my electrician would charge me. I think that's what he charged me on the last house that's pretty much equivalent to this one in labor cost to install all those devices and fixtures. I don't recall looking at the panel in that house. I probably should have gotten that in the video. That being a 1980s house, though, I think we were that area of with the county that's in. Again, for anonymity's sake, I'm not going to mention where it was, but that area, there were some houses that had Federal Pacific panels, but I'm pretty sure this house was built in 1980. I think it was 82. I think we were past the Federal Pacific issues by 1982, if I recall correctly. Now, getting into 1982, you start running into issues with the Challenger panels, but I don't remember that area having a lot of Challenger panels. I think a lot of those panels in that area, I've done a lot of houses over the years in and around there, and I think a lot of them are all Cutler Hammer panels they're all built by the same builders pretty much back in the day in the 80s. I'm pretty sure they're either all Cutler Hammer panels or they might be old Eaton panels. But either way, that doesn't include putting a new panel in the house. If I do have to put a new panel in, it's probably another $2,000 to bring it up to current codes, because you got to do arc faults and smoke detectors and all that stuff. So let's jump into the kitchen here. Okay, so the kitchen, like I mentioned, we tear out everything in the kitchen. Those cabinets looked in really bad shape. They had mold all over them. There's no reason to try to salvage those cabinets. Plus, you could see where the veneer was peeling off of a lot of those cabinets. So breaking down the kitchen budget, if we break down that $8,000 a little bit further, you've got about $4,000 worth of cabinets, and that includes cabinets and labor install to do the cabinets, because you have one's on the back wall, and then you have that little island sort of thing sticking out. So give or take, you're about $4,000 worth of cabinets, and then you've got granite in there, which would be about another $3,000 for just a level 1 basic granite, maybe $2,500 for the granite in that kitchen. And then I have a miscellaneous $1,000 for other things like knobs and miscellaneous other kitchen stuff. I've got appliances here of $3,500. That's about just for basic, entry level appliances nowadays. For a fridge, a range, microwave, and all that stuff, we're spending about $3,500 on appliances nowadays. I used to be able to do appliances for like a couple grand tops, but it's a lot more now. So for plumbing fixtures, you're looking at about $2,500. That's inclusive of 3 new vanities. We'll basically probably do the exact same vanities in all 3 bathrooms. If I remember right, they all look to be about the same size. So 3 new vanities. These are just Home Depot, Lowe's kind of vanities. 3 new toilets, and then faucets. New faucets, just kind of entry-level builder-grade faucets, and then likely we'll have to replace the trim kits on the showers and that sort of stuff. So $2,500 worth of fixtures, and then another about $2,000 for my plumber to install all of said fixtures. Yeah, my plumber charges more money than my electrician does for less pieces. Plumbers make really good money, in case you didn't already know that. Anyways, all right, now let's go on to flooring. So that includes basically LVP on the bottom 2 levels, probably some carpet on the stairs and carpet on the top level. We generally do LVP and everything. It's not much more money than carpet, and wherever we can put LVP, we do. But generally on the bedroom level, like on the upstairs where the bedrooms are, we do carpet, and we do carpet on the stairs because it's just cheaper to do carpet on the stairs. And like I mentioned, in this price point, it doesn't really matter. The buyers are not expecting hardwood floor stairs or anything like that. There'd be no reason to spend that money. So to do that entire house based off of the square footage of that whole house, you're looking at about $6,000 worth of flooring. That's a turnkey number from my flooring company that I've used for a number of years. They'll do my carpet and my LVP and all that stuff, and quarter round. So $6,000 includes all that. We've got trim and doors. Some of those doors needed to be replaced. I don't know if I talked about it in the videos, but I can tell in the videos that some of those doors, the veneer's peeling. And to be honest, those little solid panel hollow core doors, like, it would look better just to change out all the doors to like a paneled, multiple paneled, like a 6-panel hollow core door. So this $4,000 is including putting all new. We wouldn't change the door frames out, but we would put a new door. Like blank, they call it a door blank. Put a door blank in place, and then all that stuff, and then a little bit of trim. Likely, there's going to be some baseboards and stuff that need to be replaced and that sort of thing. So I've got about a $4,000 line item for there. I mentioned earlier in the video that it does need a new roof. That roof looked to be pretty old. So to replace that roof on that house is going to be about $7,000, believe it or not. I know some people like, holy crap, that's expensive. Yeah, I used to be able to do that roof for like $4,000, maybe $3,500 for that size of roof. Nowadays, it's about $7,000 out the door. It's pretty wild how expensive roofing's gotten. And then gutters, we would put gutters on the house. I think there were some gutters and there were some that were missing, but to do that whole house with gutters, it's like $1,500. It's not that much money. And then the garage door was damaged. It had some dents in it. So just replace that with just sort of a cheapy metal garage door replacement with labor, and the door itself is about $700 for that size of door. And then replacing the fence along the front. That fence was falling down. We probably just put a new just privacy fence panels in the front, maybe one down the one side of the house. I don't know that we need to do it down the right side of the backyard, but definitely the left side. So about $2,000 for that. And then I forgot, I've added this in labor. This is doorknobs and labor. So replacing all the doorknobs in the houses with, new, we just usually do like brushed nickel or black or something. To buy all the knobs and including the labor and everything to install that, you're looking at about $1,000. And here I have a contingency in there for about $8,600. If you total all this up, it's about $86,700. And then I add in another 10% contingency because inevitably I've been doing this long enough. I probably forgot something, or something's going to end up costing more than we thought. We're going to run into something behind a wall. We're going to, actually, I just realized I didn't even include pest control in this number. We're going to have to get rid of all those cockroaches, which is going to cost me about $500. For multiple, you have to do multiple treatments to get rid of those cockroaches. So we got $500 for cockroach treatment, which is not included in here. But again, we'll just throw that in the contingency. Inevitably, that all comes out to about $95,000. Yeah, that's a big number, isn't it? $95,000. Just 5 years ago, like right before COVID, I would say. So actually, wow, it's 2026. So that's like 6 years ago. Before COVID, I probably could have renovated that entire house for about $50,000. Nowadays, it's 95. Yeah, it's pretty wild. All right, so we're going to unhide here and we're going to do our numbers. So let's break this down here. So what is ARV? That is the after repair value. So I looked at the comparable sales in that immediate neighborhood because there's a lot of neighborhoods in that area, but this neighborhood honestly wasn't the best. There's a lot of kind of pretty bad looking houses. I think this one's probably been kind of hard to sell, to be honest with you. For example, you don't see it in the video, but the next door neighbor, 2 of the neighbors have some sort of car operation going on. One neighbor had like 3. Well, he had 2 in the street, 1 in the driveway, 2 Dodge Chargers in the street that were clearly inoperable and maybe parts cars because one of them didn't have wheels on it. And then the other neighbor had like 6 cars parked in his driveway, and some of them were being in the process of worked on. And his house was pretty rough. There were quite a few rough houses in this neighborhood, to be honest with you, that really weren't well taken care of. So I think it's going to be kind of hard to sell this house. And there were 3 sold comparables in the last 12 months in this particular subdivision, this immediate subdivision. These were 4 and 5 bedroom houses. And then one of them was a 3-bedroom. So the 4-bedroom house was completely renovated and updated, sold for $230,000. And that was almost a year ago. And the market has changed a lot in the past year. Additionally, there was another house that was a 5-bedroom house, but not quite as updated. And it sold for, I would say that one was like kind of a lipstick on a pig sort of carpet and paint kind of house, but still kind of in it's like okay shape. It sold for $229,000, but it was 5 bedrooms. And again, that was almost an entire year ago now. And again, like I said before, the market has changed a lot in the past year. And then lastly, there was a house that sold in that neighborhood in the last 6 months. It was only a 3-bedroom house, and it was in okay shape. It was kind of a carpet and paint sort of deal, and it sold for only $200,000 is what the final sale price was. So I've got a 230. Basically two $230,000 comps and a $200,000 comp. And then, like I said, I'm being a little conservative because I've been burned in this market in the last 12 months. So I'm going to go with a $220,000 ARV or after repaired value. That's what I could sell this house for all fixed up. Now think about that. A $95,000 rehab budget is 50% of what it would cost. So we're already getting into pretty significant numbers. Okay. And then I've got holding and selling costs, which generally is about 10 to 11% of the sale. Like I mentioned, this one's going to be hard to sell. I think the days on market in this area, it takes a long time for these houses to sell. So I'm going to be sitting on this house for a long time. Taxes, insurance, interest to my private investors, all that stuff adds up over time. And then selling costs, almost always in this price point, we are giving at least 3% in closing cost for the buyer because almost all of them are going to be FHA financing in most cases. And they're going to need us to give them 3% in closing cost contributions. So I've got 3% of the sale price to pay my buyer on the inside, on the end, 3%, and then I've got 3% to their agent. I'm an agent myself. I'd be listing this, so there's not 3% there. So immediately knock off 6% off the price plus all the other holding costs. It's basically going to cost me to hold and sell this house. It will cost me $24,200. Now we tack in the rehab number, which we arrived to earlier. That's $95,370. And then I have a profit of $45,000. And some people are like, that's a huge profit. Like, actually, it's not. For the amount of work in 6 months to do this house, this is my minimum profit number. If I have to go in and do a rehab on a house, this is my bare minimum. So I'm assigning my bare minimum profit. I will not do any project where I have to do an extensive rehab like this and make less than $45,000, because I've had a few in the last year where I did this number right here and I ended up losing money on the house. I held it longer than I thought. It cost me more than I thought to rehab it, and it didn't sell for what I thought it would sell for, and I had to do major price reductions, and I ended up losing money on the deal, and I had assigned, just like I did here, a $45,000 profit. So this minus this minus this minus this is an offer of $55,000. And some people are like, that's really low. And you're right, that's a low number, but this is literally how the math works. $220,000 is what I can sell it for once it's all fixed up. And again, this house is in bad enough shape. I can't just go in and do carpet and paint. There's mold in it. There's water damage, there's cockroaches. Like, this is not a carpet and paint kind of house. I can't go in and do that. I've got to actually go in and do some renovation work here. I'd love to be able to do carpet and paint, but the reality is this is if you watch some of my other videos, this is a can of worms house. I'm going to open a can of worms here, and I'm going to end up having to just rehab the whole thing. So here we go, $55,000. Now, what are we going to do with this? Are we going to make this offer to the seller? Well, yeah, I'm actually going to call the seller here in a minute. And this is an out-of-state estate situation. This house is actually in foreclosure, and it is going to be sold on the courthouse steps here in about 2 weeks. The first Tuesday of September, and they were looking to basically sell it for what was owed on the house, and they were trying to make a little bit more money. And based off of what was owed and them making a little bit more money for their time and effort. And again, the executor of this estate and the heirs do not live here in Georgia. They live in another state. They were really just looking to make about $5,000 for their troubles. They really weren't asking for a lot, but unfortunately, the mortgage balance owed on this house right now is $65,000. Plus, they wanted to make another $5,000. Sadly, I'm going to have to call them and give them the bad news today, which is that my offer is $10,000 less than what you owe on the house. Could I go in here and maybe try to squeeze these numbers and make this work on paper? I probably could, and probably try to get them $5,000, but 10 years in this business and 300 plus deals has taught me that I should never, ever, ever, ever go back on my numbers and try to make the deal work on paper, because it has always, every single time I have done that in the past, it has come back to bite me and burn me, and I lost money. So I'm not going to do that in this case. Sadly, what I'm going to tell the seller is that it's probably in their best interest to just let the bank take the property and let it go to the courthouse steps. Some investors probably going to buy this on the courthouse steps, and that's their problem. I'm not going to go buy it on the courthouse steps. I don't even know what it'll get bid up to. But like I said, there's $65,000 owed, and some people will say, "Oh, you could do a short sale on this." You're right. Maybe you could. But the reality of 2026 is most of the time, a lot of banks are not doing short sales anymore because they know that it'll probably sell on the courthouse steps for at least what's owed, if not maybe a little bit more. And they're just probably not going to take it, not to mention the time and the paperwork. We only have 2 weeks to get this deal closed before it goes to the courthouse steps. And if the numbers worked out, I could make it close, and we could close here in the next 2 weeks. I could get it done, and we could get this closed. But the reality is I'm not willing to adjust on my numbers here. I'm not going to just buy this for the sake of buying it and try to fudge the numbers to make them work. It's not going to happen here. So I'm going to basically tell the seller here, I'm going to call them here in a minute and say, look, in my opinion, you should just let it go to the courthouse steps and let the bank take it back, and let it go. There's no reason to try to eke any more. They might be able to call another investor and maybe they could get more money for it. But the reality is the only other investor they're going to call that's going to probably give them more money might be like an OfferPad or Open Door. And the amount of rehab on this house, I don't know that OfferPad or Open Door would even be interested. They don't really advertise it, but they do sort of cap out the rehab budget. If it gets over a certain amount, they just won't buy it, depending on the condition of the house. So I highly doubt, I could be wrong here, but I highly doubt that OfferPad or Open Door would even buy this house. So anyways, guys, I know this was a long video. I hope this was educational for you. This is literally what we do like all the time. Now, this is what I've been doing for the past 10 years. Me and my team, if you talk to Missy, we get these houses presented to us. We get these leads from people that get letters from us in the mail. They find our videos online. They want us to buy their estate property, and it's in kind of really bad shape like this one is. And unfortunately, it was a sad situation. Someone passed away in the house. But again, that happens all the time. We've dealt with that many, many times. And we have to go through, and I go out to the house. So I went out to the house yesterday on a Sunday afternoon, and checked out the house and looked through it and came up with my numbers. And today I'm going to call basically with this offer. And my offer is unfortunately probably not what they want to hear, but I'm going to tell them like it is, and I'm going to tell them the truth. And that's really all I can do, right? I really would like to make a deal with these people, but again, the math just ain't mathin', as they say. So I'm not going to do it. So thanks again for checking out this video. I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. If you have an estate property that you are interested in selling, and obviously I don't think you want a $55,000 offer like you do in this video, and most people don't. But the reality is we've obviously paid way more for estate properties over time. This is just a case of the area, the prices don't sell for very much, and it's kind of a rough area of town, and the rehab budget on this thing is pretty significant because of the condition of the house. So this is just how the math works out. This is how I do my math, and this is our investor secret formula here. I'm sharing it with you guys today. This is the formula. This is how we come up with offers. So anyways, thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to get an offer on your house or talk to us about either selling the house, listing it in the traditional fashion, or getting a cash offer on it, we'd be happy to talk to you. Go over to probatehouseguy.com, fill out the form there on the page, and a member of our team will be in touch with the ASAP, and we'll go from there. Thanks again for checking out this video. I'm Brad. Hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.